Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another review. I am on fire these days. I hope you're enjoying all the content on the channel. I am feeling really very productive, and now that the house is pretty much finished, actually now I'm done for a while working on the house. I feel like I can focus on the YouTube channel. This time last year was also super productive. I was managing to put 3 videos a week out. I can't promise the same thing, but 2 for sure. And today we are doing the review of the new matte collection by Nabla Cosmetics. This was released recently, just last week on September 21st, and this is what they look like. There are 12 new matte refills, and if you know me, I am obsessed with catching all the single pan eyeshadows, and Nabla had been releasing only pre-made palettes. They had the Dreamy and then the Soul Blooming palettes, and that just doesn't call my name, whereas they will catch me always with something like this. And matte eyeshadows are my favorite thing in the world. Because of my hooded eyes, I like to wear very nice colorful matte eyeshadows, and they have to be really good quality, and that's what my looks are usually centered around. So I'm super happy that they have finally released new refills. So quick rundown: there are 12 new shades. 3 are in a new finish. They're matte, and they are this shade here, Coconut Milk, this shade here, That It Kids, and this shade here, Leon. The rest, the other 9 of them, are in the super matte finish that we have learned to love in both the pre-made palettes, which I don't have, so I can't tell you about it, but also in some of their more older super mattes. I can show you a few here. In my blue palette, we have this blue and this blue are super mattes, as well as in my other Nabla palette. Yes, I'm addicted. We have Radical and Paprika Pure are also super matte finish. So we know this formula. It is extremely soft and silky, and definitely a different formula from what you've felt before, at least for me. I have quite a few eyeshadow formulas. I have tried many. They have somewhat of a Anastasia Beverly Hills feel, but there's no kick up whatsoever. There is no fallout whatsoever, even in the super dark shades like the black, and they are very blendable. So I was actually quite surprised. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen I've had a few issues with the blue here, Blue Velvet. I can't seem to be blending it properly in my outer corner. And then I was talking with my friend Laura from Pink Frenzy. I'll link her Instagram down below. She said, well, I have no issues, you should pat it and blend it and it should be fine. And I went around and thought a little bit about it, and the way I usually apply my primer is I apply it all over my lid, and then I set only the crease. And where Blue Velvet was grabbing was on the outer V where I didn't set. So that got me thinking, and indeed these eyeshadows are best applied with a complete layer of powder on your primer so that they will not grab. And that is what I've been doing with this palette and these new eyeshadows, and especially super exciting, or at least, well, as exciting as a skin-toned eyeshadow is, the shade Coconut Milk is the perfect shade for me to set my eye. It's my skin tone shade. It even works a little bit as a brow bone highlight. And you know that I only like matte eyebrow highlights, so this shade is absolute perfection. Overall, I have used all of these shades on my eyes. I am wearing a bunch of them today as well. I went a little bit ham, but I wanted to use these 3 shades down here today. And I can actually, spoiler alert, tell you, I think you are in for a great purchase if you decide to get these. The shades are not revolutionary. I mean, you probably have these shades in your collection, but the formula is actually really nice. So a few of the standouts for me, at least, and for the colors I love. First of all, the black. I have never used a black eyeshadow as much as I've been using pitch black, and I've actually been really liking it. I remember doing years ago a blog post on black smoky eye using the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. I don't have that palette anymore, but I remember how scared I was of doing a black smoky eye. Since Chiara from La Vie en Cosmétique did the black smoky eye for their promotional campaign, I was dying to try this black, and it is so beautiful and pigmented. I showed you also on my Instagram stories. I think you can still find them in the highlights, but really, really good black. It is not pitch black as it's called. It's not that deep of a black, but for all intents and purposes, it's a great great black. Really pigmented, really easy to blend. Really happy with that. This shade here, of course, this is the nice warm tone. It's called Cinnamon. I love Kids and I love Coconut Milk. Really, really good. I am wearing today Shady Shape in my crease, and I love how deep and this shade is pigmented, but you don't lose it when you blend. I am always with these purples. I had this problem with the Urban Decay palette, and you know how that review went. If you didn't see it, I'll link it in the cards. Wasn't the best palette that I had. And this is how these purples need to perform. I am really happy with the formula of these. I have at least one shade that I don't know what to do with. The shade Poetry. It's a dupe for the Norvina Soul, I think it's called. The purple shade, the matte purple shade in there. And it is a spot on dupe for Fairy Tale by Makeup Geek. So if you have that, you won't need this. And in general, what are you gonna do with this? I don't know. I think this one will go probably to someone else because I don't really use this shade at all. And instead, this shade Capsize, I think it's called, this one here. Yeah, the shade Capsize. This is a cool toned mauvey purple. Let me find the description of the brand. Yeah, they call it a medium mauve. And it's actually more wearable than I thought, even though I still have a hard time seeing myself using it. The shade White Truffle is a very rare and different shade. I actually quite like it. And the gray is a nice gray. It's a warmer gray, which I like. You'll see in my comparisons, I don't have a gray this shade. So yeah, overall, I think these eyeshadows did very, very well. They are a great formula. They are definitely super matte, but they're very, very silky and smooth. I want to show you a few applications on my hand. It's kind of the closest thing to an application to my eyes, but you have seen those in my Instagram stories. I didn't feel like I keep doing tutorials, and I don't know if actually people care. Please let me know down below, because I wasn't planning on actually doing a tutorial in this video. I hope you don't mind. But I wanted to show you how these shades blended, because it is definitely something special. So let me zoom you in and show you my hand. So I am gonna prime my hand like I would my eye with some of my Wet n Wild primer, and then just like I do on my eyes, I'm going in with the shade Coconut Milk and setting the whole thing. Now this is a bit more surface than I usually have on my eye. I hope I catch it all. And let's go into the black immediately, because I think that's what we're here for, aren't we? Or at least I am. And here we go. I hope you can see how beautiful that blended. And I want to also show you the shade Shady Shape, which I really don't understand, but that's the name of, but that's okay. And here we are. There. I can intensify it a little bit more in the center. but it blends so well. And then let's take a look at the palette. I did not blow on it when I put my brushes inside. And here you have it. Can you see there is no fallout? There is no kick up. The palette is pristine. You can see where I put my brush in, especially in the black, because it was a little bit of a stiffer brush, but it looks so good still. Well, another comparison I want to put next to this is an old soft matte eyeshadow from Nabla. This is a previous formulation of their matte eyeshadows. This is the shade Mimesis. And I'm taking MAC 217, which is the same brush as I applied Shuri. And I'm just going to show you the difference in application. Where is the color, you would say, right? Where is that color? Build it up again, and you saw how dark that shade was in the pan. So it's definitely a huge improvement in the formulation of the eyeshadows, absolutely. You can see it's just not there for this shade here, and it was the same problem I had with the previous mattes from Nabla. They were just not pigmented enough, they were just not working well and translating well on the eyes, and it's such a pity because the shades are so beautiful. I already showed you I had a lot of Nabla eyeshadows, and some of these mattes right here, Fahrenheit is red, but it's not that pigmented. Wild Side was super hard to transfer on the eyes. There's the shade Camelot, which is this really dark cool tone brown, so hard to get on the eye. So I am very happy that now they have changed their formulation for many of their matte eyeshadows. A lot of these old matte eyeshadows, and unfortunately also some shimmers, are going out of stock and just being discontinued. So take a look at their website. A lot of them have already gone, among which one of the best eyeshadows ever, or at least color-wise. Cattleya here. Gorgeous. You've seen me use it in my Norvina palette dupe video. Same to say with this shade here, which is Peach Velvet. This is also gone, but this was terrible. So light, so non-existent. It's non-existent. It wouldn't build up. I couldn't get any peachiness in my crease. So I'm happy those go, and I'm happy they have this new formula that they're expanding on. Now let's get into some comparison swatches that I did with these shades to show you a little bit with different eyeshadows, both from Nabla and other brands. Let's start with the lightest one, Coconut Milk. You can see it's the second one in this picture, the second swatch. Vanilla Bean from Makeup Geek is lighter and a little bit more yellow toned, and Beaches and Cream, which is the third swatch, is also quite a bit yellower, whereas Coconut Milk has this neutral, a little bit more pink undertone. I don't think that is actually translating too much on the eye, which I think is great because I personally do not want pink eyeshadow, a light pink eyeshadow on my eyes. So it's quite neutral and nice. Then we have the shade Creme Brulee, that's the fourth swatch, and you see that it's quite similar to Kids, but it is a little bit darker. Then I put the shade Narciso right after Kids so that you can see next to each other the two transition shades from Nabla Cosmetics. Narciso is definitely more brown, more cool toned, and Kids is overall much more peachy. And finally in the end I tried, I swear, to swatch Peach Velvet, but you can see it's very light and much more orange and yellow than brown compared to Kids. So that was the first swatches. Then we move on to the first shade here is Creased from Makeup Geek, and you can see it's quite close to White Truffle, but White Truffle is still a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow. Then compared to Latte, also Latte is much more warm and orange, so White Truffle plays quite in between those two shades. And the fourth shade is a comparison with Wild Side, which was their previous medium transition shade. And Wild Side is cooler, but it's not that far off from White Truffle. I have to say they're quite similar, and if you have one, probably you don't need the other. If not, that Wild Side formula is not good, whereas White Truffle is really nice. So those were those there. Then I wanted to compare all of their warm toned transition shades or matte shades. So I'm starting with Paprika to compare to Cinnamon, that is the new eyeshadow. Paprika is also super matte, and you can see that in the swatches they're just so beautiful. Then we have the shade Petra, and Petra is actually quite similar to Cinnamon, but Cinnamon has more orange and Petra has a little bit more red, very marginally so. They're very similar, and Petra is a little bit lighter, but that is due to the fact that it's not pigmented enough. So again, I would definitely pick up Cinnamon over Petra nowadays. And if you have Petra, you probably do not need Cinnamon if you're happy with the way it performs. The final swatch is Makeup Geek Cocoa Bear, and they're pretty much exact dupes, I think. They look very similar, and they both have very good quality. I love Cocoa Bear by Makeup Geek. It's a really good eyeshadow with a great formula as well. Then we're moving on to the cool toned eyeshadows. I am starting with the shade Wild West, and you can see that is my only rosy brown that I have in my collection, and that is a little bit darker than Leon. But they're quite similar in the idea, at least. So I think Leon is actually quite unique, and it's quite nice and different. So very nice rose toned brown. After that, I put Capsize compared to Petal Pusher by Makeup Geek, and it's clearly darker. And compared to Circle by Nabla. Circle is lighter and is horrible in formulation again. The soft mattes were not very good pigmented eyeshadow. That's probably why I never reached for them. The effect on the eye was always very soft and soft glam type thing, whereas I want to punch. So I think depends on your style. These new super mattes are much better. But the color is not that different, I have to say. If you like a more softer look, I would keep Circle. Then I compared Poetry with Fairy Tale by Makeup Geek, and Poetry and Fairy Tale are quite similar, if not that Poetry is a little bit more gray and Fairy Tale a little bit more lavender. But they're quite similar, and as I said before, I've seen comparisons, and the Poetry is really close to the purple matte shade in the Norvina palette, for example. Then we go to the fun rosy pinky shades, and we have a comparison between Tuscan Sun, which is way more orange than Artemisia, for example, and Artemisia is actually quite muted. It's a very wearable pinky transition shade. I actually quite like it. I was quite surprised. And the third shade is Verve, also one of the new ones, and that's much brighter and more fun. I see it definitely as a great summer shades, summer and spring shade. Then I put next to it ColourPop Stay Golden, because I thought it would be close, but it isn't. That's much more coral, and you can really see the difference here in the swatches. Then we go for the nicer, deeper tones that are my favorite, and we have Cherie Shape, the new Nabla shadow, compared to Eresia, which is also super matte from a previous collection, which is a straight up cool tone purple, whereas Cherie Shape is more of a mauve, is more of a warm berry, beautiful eyeshadow. I love it. I love it. Then the next comparison is Curfew by Makeup Geek, which is still a little bit more muted and a little bit cooler toned than Cherie Shape. Then we have Mimesis that I also just showed you from the old soft mattes by Nabla, which